Now on to the Justice Department. And so there's one detail, is that Wells Fargo have no doubt they have illegally obtained, my health care records from this hospital that I was at when I was 18. Those records have some very disturbing, sounding stuff that I said that amounts to nothing. You got to remember, the doctors who are the professionals that are competent to judge that, correctly judged. Again, I'm not a person. I'm a brain that's spun out of control. That's why they let me go home, despite all the extreme stuff that I said. But to the lay person, this could bias you. This could cause people to create a bias. And Wells Fargo has shown those to the authorities, approaches the authorities, DOJ and whatever other authorities. Probably the Federal Reserve have seen these records, I would say. And for sure, those records are known to have been illegally obtained by the authorities. Okay, so that's the first lesson about dealing with Wells Fargo. Is they're allowed, if they want to get out a jail-free card, the way to get out a jail-free card is commit another crime. Okay, they can commit one more crime and go and show the authorities the evidence of their crime that they just committed and have a discussion about that. Okay, these people, this Wells Fargo is unbelievably powerful. Its power comes from its resources, but it comes more so from the fact that this bank is just entitled to ignore the law as if the law doesn't exist by the authorities and by the regulators. Okay, that seems to very, very, very clearly to be the case. I do believe that is likely to create a bias with the Justice Department against me. Again, the appropriate thing for them to do is when Wells Fargo walks in there with their office with illegally obtained healthcare records is to put them in handcuffs and arrest them and prosecute them. Okay, that's what you're supposed to do when people show you illegally obtained healthcare records. But if you're Wells Fargo, then you get you get second consideration. Hey, we're not going to prosecute you for this crime these crimes you committed against this man because this last crime you've committed, you justifies all the other crimes you've committed. It's a mess. But again, this model from Facebook that I was talking to, that she was seen to be clearly, that the Justice Department was aware of her, that it was part of why she was put in the picture. And again, this is around December, end of December 2020 that she comes along. And then in January, I go to Atrium Health, and I'm being subject in my appointment. It's an online phone appointment. I'm being subject to brazen healthcare fraud. Okay, that I bring up this kidnapping, which I have a very good rationale as to why I was kidnapped in this hospital stay. Again, I've laid it out here that every element of the crime of kidnapping under North Carolina, it's general statutes, it's chapter 14, section 39, I believe is what you call this. That I was confined against my will. I was transported against my will, 17.2 miles, and all this happened in a commission and to facilitate the commission of a felony, a series of healthcare frauds. I have a kidnapping. Yeah, that's my rationale for why this was a kidnapping, and you can see the evidence for this on these forged dates on the civil commitment petition. That's evidence of foul play there. But when I bring this up to this Atrium Health provider, he will not address my concerns about this petition. He won't look at the time on it. He starts going off in his own direction, and he eventually ups my medication and puts in my healthcare notes that my belief that I've been kidnapped is a symbol of a paranoid thought content. Because it's the same despicable tactic that Wells Fargo used, same despicable tactic that's been used for me, despicable tactic that's been used against me for now over 20 years. That my belief that this has happened is being written off as a paranoid, mental health symptom. Okay, now when this is going on, I'm puzzled. What's going on here? Because the U.S. DOJ, what I send to the U.S. DOJ gets back to this model that my communications to them get back to her. Somehow I can tell that much. And so it's like Wells Fargo is obviously, they're the ones who tracked down this model and offered her a fortune. So it's like the U.S. DOJ, they're in the mix. Everybody knows they're in the mix. At Wells Fargo and Atrium Health, they know the U.S. DOJ is in the mix. So why in God's name, why are they still subjecting me to this brazen healthcare fraud? Like, don't they worry about getting caught? And what I subsequently realized is there's a perfectly good explanation here. I'm being subject to brazen healthcare fraud while the U.S. DOJ has its eyes on this situation because the U.S. DOJ is sponsoring it. We have a cover-up of the crimes that have been committed against me that is being sponsored by the United States Department of Justice and probably other people in the government. What What's happened recently in the past about 3 months, 2 or 3 months, is again I inundate the Department of Justice with communications because I'm trying to get them to help me, and I send them detailed, I mean long, God knows how many hours of audios I've sent them explaining stuff and talking to them, and I mentioned in there about how my Adderall is my main medication, that's what helps me the most, and if I go without my Adderall, I turn into a vegetable. Okay, now this is stupid of me to do this because at this point I'm still trusting the DOJ, but what happens is after this, my very next appointment with Atrium Health, they take away my Adderall and they double this Cyprexit that causes me this cognitive impairment. Okay, and they make up this bullshit notes saying that I've got manic symptoms, which is total bullshit. It's deliberate fraud. This is clearly designed to handicap me and cripple me. Okay, so that's what good it does to send you communications to the United States Department of Justice. They go through there and find ways to criminally victimize you, and to again, they're beating the hell out of a disabled man while they coddle this bank. Okay, you'll see in my complaint if you go down to the link below. I've got a complaint in the link below that has that I sent to the Department of Justice. Towards the end of that complaint, on about page 124, I have a list of the crimes, the felonies, and the civil torts that have been committed in this crime spree that's been initiated against me. So this bank initiates this massive, monster-sized crime spree. I am a disabled man with PTSD, severely disabled. I submit it to the authorities, and the authorities come and beat the hell out of me and cover up this bank's crimes and coddle this bank. Okay? That I'm grateful for the Justice Department for attending to all my communications, which are a huge volume of communications. They appeared to be trying to help me with this Australian girl in the beginning. I don't know what the hell happened there, but the fact still remains that, again, I submit this complaint and the dog pile just gets bigger. I need the United States of America to help me, and instead the United States of America jumps in the dog pile and starts to help Wells Fargo cover up Wells Fargo's crimes and authorizes and sponsors criminal abuse of me. Okay? And so what I need out of this is I need people to please help me. Share these videos with your friends. Share them to whoever you can. I've got to get the word out. I've got to get this brought into the court of public opinion so that this bank can be compelled to make it right with me, okay? Because I am suffering horrifically. I mean, right now, I have a feeling of helplessness. I just want to die. And you can't even tell by looking at me. And it kills me the way that I suffer so bad. And I have this feeling of this broken brain that is so horrible. I mean, it's terrible. Okay, and the other people can't see. It's not apparent in my appearance. Okay, I think we need to decide that maybe people, maybe you don't do business with this bank. You call them and tell them, we're going to do business with you until you stop your grotesque abuse of the mentally ill, your grotesque abuse of this man, and start acting, to treat people with dignity. Again, this is the most despicable thing I've ever seen of the most powerful people on earth, to victimize powerless people like me, because ultimately I'm powerless with my mental health condition. I found out I cannot get a lawyer to save my life to help me with my case. I'm begging the U.S. DOJ to help me to get Wells Fargo to make it right, because even if I do get a lawyer, all the facts favor Wells Fargo because of this cover-up that's being perpetrated. So the criminal courts are not an option for me because this bank's above the law. The civil courts are not an option because A, I can't get a lawyer, B, even if I do, a cover-up has taken place. And so if I can get this brought into the court of public opinion, people can please hold this bank accountable for its rotten, despicable conduct. I mean, I cannot tell you how horrifically I suffered, how horrifically I have suffered, and I am disabled for life. Okay, that I will never, ever, ever be able to work again, almost certainly. I mean, certainly. And of course the thing is my healthcare records are being fraudulently prepared for the benefit of Wells Fargo and Atrium Health. So when I apply for disability benefits, I get declined because my my medical records don't reflect my disability accurately. And this brain scan that I got for Wells Fargo, because that's what they wanted to rule out other causes. So I get that for them, and then I get nothing for it, okay? And my poor aunt, who's very, very poor, had to pay the down payment for that brain scan because I couldn't get my mom to do it to save my life, and God, it killed me. I mean, I told her, I got to get the money for this brain scan. My life depends on it, and she wouldn't get it. And I missed this brain scan for three or four times in a row. I had to miss this brain scan. First 3 times because I didn't have the money. The last time because I didn't have money to have a cab. But my poor aunt had to let one of her bills go by for a month to pay the down payment for this brain scan that ends up just being a scam for Wells Fargo. Okay, so what Wells Fargo can do, they can evaluate their civil case against me and say, hey, maybe there's an alternate cause for his PTSD and we're off the hook. And we'll get his poor, impoverished family, his pitiful family, to pay for that, for us. Okay, and then not do a damn thing for me. Now the thing is I could have got a brain scan instead of getting an MRI to rule out alternate causes. I could have gotten an fMRI that would have helped me with my disability application. But instead, I get the brain scan that they want because I'm supposed to be getting help once they get that brain scan, and then I get it, and it amounts to nothing. Okay, that I've been cruelly massacred by this bank and by this hospital and by the United States Department of Justice, and I need people to please, I know I don't even know you, but please, for the sake of my dignity, for the sake of the dignity of the mentally ill, I mean, this is absolutely grotesque and sickening, and it brings to light, just how far behind the curve we are in America on treating the mentally ill and treating the mentally ill equitably, having them access to legal counsel, protecting them from abuse from these people. And I can tell you right now, I mean, from my experience, the mentally ill in my county, well, I'm not going to say it, okay, because maybe my experience is not typical, but if my experience is at all typical, that the mentally ill in this county get batted around like badminton balls, okay? That a bunch of for-profit hospitals that have a financial, they're a bunch of hospitals, they're not for-profit, they're non-profits, but they have a financial interest in keeping these patients, and they don't enforce their rights, don't even know their rights, and they get pinged and ponged by a bunch of magistrates that will sign off on anything, and I mean, this is just crazy. So please like this video, share it. You can subscribe to my channel. I'm not sure how much more stuff I will have on here, but please share my videos far and wide. Share my complaints. I've got a book that I wrote in my complaint. There's a link to a book that I wrote for young people. If you've got a young person in your life that you want to teach about how to make choices and about how to avoid alcohol and drug abuse, I've got a great book there. I've got a PayPal link that you can donate if you find my book valuable, or if you just want to help me. I'm disabled. I cannot make any income whatsoever. I'm living in terrible, terrible I'm living in terrible, terrible pain. I mean, the suffering is horrific. I just want to die all day, every day. I've been fighting for my life for now 2.5 years, and I just keep getting pounded and pounded and pounded with more crime, and I don't know how much more that I can take. So please, I beg of you, please. And in my complaint, I've got a link to my Facebook profile. In my complaint, you can contact me on Facebook, and I'll do whatever I can to help you. If there's anything I can do to help you, if you will please help me. Okay, and if the Justice Department, the United States Department of Justice sees this, listen, you've made some mistakes. There's a lot at stake here. I know we got the economy and all this, and nobody wants to know about Wells Fargo's wrongdoing. That I want this to turn out to be a win-win-win-win-win for everybody. I think we have a great opportunity here to bring the issue of mental illness up to the forefront, and we can have this addressed in society. And Wells Fargo will kind of done us a favor by committing these crimes against me and bringing this issue front and center in our society. That this is kind of the last frontier in terms of the fight for dignity and equality of people's rights. We've got a substantial movement in race. We've got a substantial movement in gender. We've got a substantial movement in sexual orientation. We've got a substantial movement in gender identity. There's all these different fights for equality, and we don't seem to have nearly as substantial a movement in mental health. And I can tell you from my experience that people with mental illnesses are very, very dramatically misunderstood and treated in ways that are not fair at all. And I just need this bank to make it right with me, and then we can take the focus off of me, take the focus off of Wells Fargo, and put the focus on mental illness broadly and generally in our society.